G'day brothers and the occasional sister. And on that note, the occasional sister, mushrooms. If you have mushrooms every day as a woman, you decrease your chances around between 50 and 65% of getting breast cancer. And that's science, and you can look it up. Dr. Joel Furman, if you want to look that one up. Obviously, all the other stuff that you've got to have too, like your chopped onions and your garlic and your broccoli. It's going to help that, but mushrooms. Anyway, celery. Hey men, Dr. Glenn Davies told me this. Men, and women I guess, but no, men. If you men eat celery, apparently the breath that you get from chewing it makes you more attractive to women. I don't know if it's, I've got no science to back it up, just Glenn Davies told me that. And he got Doctor of the Year Award for 2021, so I'm going with it. Turmeric. Fry it in your food every day if you've got any pain. It gets inflammation down. It's a bastard for staining everything yellow. It tastes good, it's kind of sweet. But I steam it with my lunch every day. So a lot of us are starting to lose faith in our government. Whatever government that is. We've got a new government in New Zealand now. National. Our previous government, our leader, our lovely leader, ex-leader now, she got out. You know, often when a ship is sinking, the rats will jump off, eh? She knew that ship was sinking. Oh, maybe she didn't. Nah, she did. She's not silly. Anyway, she said that the government would be our main and only true source of information and take everything else with a grain of salt. She was talking about the pandemic. So much of what we were told turned out to be bullshit. Bullshit. I follow a lot of medical outlet papers and read them. I read the Lancet, I read the medical journals, PubMed. I read a lot, and man, the information now that we're getting, bullshit. And the sad thing about it is it was dividing. My family, everybody, including my own children, parents, everybody in my family got the vaccine. I'm not going to call it a vaccine because it's actually a gene therapy. Got the jab, and everybody in my family all got it except me. Now my kids had to, they had no choice, they were mandated for their jobs. All of my family, except my daughter, got COVID. I didn't get the jab because at the time, well, I have cancer in remission. At the time I was very also sick with heart disease. I had two serious comorbidities, yet I was the one that was the most supposed to have it. If you had a comorbidity, they said, you've got to get that. You're the people that are most at risk. What I did was, I started eating all this green shit and all this garlic, and I started getting my immune system and pumping back the vitamin D. I started doing what would make common sense, which we weren't told by our government to do. I started chewing on shit that I don't even like kale. I mean, who likes kale? Fucking kale's horrible. My daughter says, oh Dad, make it into kale chips. Oh yeah. I try it in the air fry, it goes a bit crunchy. It's still fucking kale. I don't like it, but anyway. Needless to say, the last 2 years, although I've had some serious comorbidities, I've had no colds, no flus, and I'm actually pro-vaccine. I say get vaccines. You know, polio, when I was a kid, I can remember kids with polio. That's a horrible disease. We don't see it anymore. Why? Because of vaccines. But those are protein-based vaccines. We've lost faith in our government, who's ever in power, and I think if there's another pandemic, and they do another rollout and another bunch of mandates, this time people are going to go, nah, not this time. Last time we gave up a lot. Last time we suffered. The only thing we've seen from the pandemic is an excess of deaths after it. Non-COVID related excess deaths I'm talking about. When I talked about this about 5 months ago, I got a strike against the channel. I might get another one now, but I just don't care. Natto beans contain natto carnes. Of course, I don't eat everything that's totally healthy. I do eat some naughty things like baked beans. The beans are good, but the salt and the flour and the added bloody sugar and shit is definitely not good for you. So I'm not a complete bloody health nut, but hey, gotta have some things in your life that you enjoy, and I love baked beans. As I teach the boys, I take out the truck and I'm scoffing them down in the bush. Baked beans good for your heart. Baked beans make you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. So baked beans for every meal. Actually, don't have baked beans for every meal because there's a lot of sugar and shit in there. Natto beans, you can make these yourself. Actually, I don't. They contain natto carnes, and that's that sticky stuff. See? And that there has qualities. You can actually buy natto carnes in a tablet form as well, but it helps pull the calcium out of your arteries and put it in the right place. Your bones. There's no real good papers on that I can find that are definitive, but there's just so many correlations. I eat them anyway, and they taste good. They're a bit sticky. Not everybody likes them. I like them. So if we're losing faith in our government, what are we going to turn to? Because we've got a new government now in New Zealand, national, and can't be any worse than the last government, but time will tell. They've got a pretty, it was pretty overwhelming, like what they won that by, so, you know, a lot of popularity. So let's hope it goes good for the country. But what's the gut feeling with you guys out there? Do you like the idea of being under a national government? I'll put some flaxseed and chia seed into my grub, that's it there in the bowl. Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and a little bit of water, because there's 8 essential fatty acids that we've got to have. Fat is good for us, just got to have the right fat, and those fats are particularly good. Going to get your HDL up. Anyway, this is going to be really, really hot because I put a chili in there that's 330 scovilles, and that's the way I make this arse food palatable. I've never been into vegetables. I've never liked them that much, I've always liked meat and fish. But now, oh, that's hot. My protein comes from the beans I eat. And the vegetables, they've got protein too, but the beans. And I'm alive. I shouldn't be alive. That is really, that's hot. My nose is running. Oh boy. That is super, super hot. Woo! I tried apricot to fill the taste buds. So what I do is I try to make this arse food, as I call it, because it's meant you fart like a horse. Interesting. Smash some hot stuff in it. One thing I do put in it is this. This is really, it's like cheese powder. Not really, but as I'm dairy free now, this here, nutritional yeast. It's got B12 in it. It makes it a little bit more palatable, but not everybody likes that. And sometimes I'll smack a bit of apple cider vinegar in there too. Oh, this is so hot. This is really hot. That didn't make it any less hot, that just made it more interesting. If you're going to do something to better your health, you want to enjoy the process as well, otherwise it's not sustainable. And this sort of food for me is not sustainable unless I do something to make it interesting, by putting chili in it and making it unbearably hot, so that sparks my endorphins and I get a buzz. Is that healthy? I don't know, but at least I'm not putting the food in which was making my atherosclerosis worse, actually making it better, reversing it in fact. So that's what I do. I will do a video on my entire diet for a day. I used to be on the ketogenic diet, 1 meal a day, eating once every 23 hours. I did that for 3 years. I still developed heart disease in that time. So there's not just one thing that causes it, but food is a big part of the causation. About 80% is what they reckon. A lot of people say, it's genetic. Well, if you use that excuse for everything, you'd never take action and look after yourself. People say, when your time comes, your time comes. No, your time comes when you decide it comes by doing things like this. This has definitely prolonged my life. Definitely. 7 men have died since I started my journey 18 months ago. 7 men have died that we set off on the same journey. They all chose a different path, and I'm still here. And this is what I'm chewing on, thinking about those 7 guys, beautiful people. The problem that we've got with people that want to bring forward the truth about what's going on, re the pandemic, and what pharmaceutical products you should use or shouldn't use, and what the government's saying, and how we're being duped. These little parties, the trouble with these groups and these people is a lot of what they are saying, I'm not saying all of these people, but a lot of the information that they have is actually correct. But the problem is they either over dramatise or make it into a sensational thing, which is people then don't believe it, or they have other stuff that is misinformation that might go in there. They might link it up with 5G or 1080 or something stupid like that there, and then they become unbelievable. And it's a shame, because it then makes all people that are anti the way that the pandemic was handled, makes them straight away into conspiracy theorists that fringe and have no logical or no science backing what they're saying. But there's actually a huge body of people that are scientists, doctors, professors, nurses, people in the medical industry that know firsthand what the truth is, and they are being marginalised for saying their thing. They've been putting into that group and not validated for what they're saying, when in fact it's truth. And then you've got those that are paid by the media. You've got to remember that New Zealand media, the Labour government injected 55 million into the actual mainstream media of New Zealand. They had to follow a certain narrative, so they were getting paid. And if you said anything outside of it, you'd be gone. So people like my parents that believe in mainstream media and think that there's checks in place and they couldn't possibly be saying something that's false, go ahead and believe it. And then there's those of you that are listening to me right now that are also going, okay, Clay, well, you're wrong there, but you're right there, you're wrong there. And there's some things I will be wrong about, of course, because we're all wrong sometime. But there's people like yourself that are picking out what makes sense to you from the information that you have. And the information that you have has to come from a place that is reputable. And I always say, if you're going to look at stuff and listen to stuff, look at long-term studies that have hard endpoints, not short-term studies with soft sort of endpoints. Look at things that have been going for a long time. And a good place to start looking at that would be the Dunedin study. The Dunedin study's been going on for years, and it's got some really good hard endpoints. Trouble is with the experimental gene therapy that was used to make us not get the virus and not pass it on, which it did neither of those. There are no long-term studies, and there are no hard endpoints to give us a conclusion what the outcomes might be with our bodies 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, or 5 years from now. And we are seeing a significant increase right now in excess deaths. Maybe sometimes it's just better to die than eat these greens, I don't know. I guess I am a conspiracy theorist. I think the pharmaceutical companies, I think the media, I think the massive corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard and ABC and all the ones that have a vested interest in our food that we eat, they control a lot more than we're aware of, and our governments are just also puppets to them because they're answerable to them. Today's Project Club is a bit of a conspiracy theory one. Call me a conspiracy theorist, maybe I am. What I do know is this. Had I gone along with the hospital had said when they rejected me and sent me away 18 months ago saying I had none of the big ticket items, I probably wouldn't be talking to you well today as I am. And I probably wouldn't be going hunting this weekend, taking boys out into the scrub for a hunt, because I'd be sick with atherosclerosis or dead with either a heart attack or a stroke. And today I have no chest pain, no atherosclerosis that's causing me to slow down. What's happened is it's still there, but it's receded right back. And those dangerous non-calcified plaques have now gone right back. And the vasodilation is going on because I'm creating nitric oxide through this green shit every day. That there gets chewed up, goes to the crypts of your tongue, the nitrogen in it becomes a nitrite. It's taken with the endothelial and created nitric oxide, which creates vasodilation. And hello, old Clay's back in the game again. But none of that was told to me by a doctor. Nobody. That was me researching it myself. I was supposed to have 5 different medications and have a stent. Don't need a stent anymore. I cancelled it. Because a stent also comes with a risk. You poke something up your artery to put a stent in, and you can knock off a bit of soft, non-calcified plaque. That could cause a thrombotic episode. You could have a clot. Could go to your brain and cause a stroke. Or your heart, one of the ventricle, could cause a clot in your ventricle and cause a heart attack. Or your atrium. You know, so, no. Don't believe everything that you hear. My father used to say to me, son, believe nothing in what you hear and half of what you see. If you do the same, it'll serve you right. Check on a brother, check on yourself, and go steady. I'll see you in the next Bro Check Club video. Cauliflower. Yeah, it's alright.